Here we are.
We are here. We had a little mishap there.
Keep going.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 4 o'clock, or just a minute or two after 4 o'clock here in England.
9 a.m. in the USA, and special greetings to everybody. You know, thanks for joining us first thing in the morning there, and pop on, share some messages with us if you would. I've got to say, you're looking rather festive.
It is the season to be jolly, isn't it? Tra-la-la-la-la.
Yeah, lovely. New career there. And the hair's looking rather splendid as well.
Oh, thank you. It's amazing what some heated rollers might do.
Yeah, maybe I could use some heated rollers myself. I'm going to unravel a mystery for you. It is the mystery of the mince pies. This is what we eat in the UK at Christmas, everywhere. But it's a bit of a mystery, Kay, isn't it? Because beef or mince don't have any meat of any kind in them, do they?
No, they don't. They are sweet mince pies.
So what's in them?
So in these mince pies is dried fruit and spices with some liquid flavourings. Yummy.
Now, the mince pie, the humble mince pie, once again shown for your delight. These go back a long way. Not these go back a long way. I mean,
these are fresh.
These are fresh.
They date back to the 13th century. The original recipe for mince pie with the actual mince lamb in it, and Middle East, sorry.
Yeah.
And it was the European Crusaders that brought the recipe back to England. But they would use the meat, the spices, the alcohol to preserve the meat, and it was called often mutton pie or crisp pie.
Or mince pie.
Or mince pie.
But now...
It is a sweet treat,
and
not savoury.
It's therefore just confusing. Now, these ones are round, but they weren't always round, were they?
No, they started off in an oblong shape to represent the manger where Jesus slept. And sometimes people would make a little pastry baby to sit on top.
That's a bit weird, isn't it? Having a little pastry baby when you're eating
trying to eat a baby's leg.
That's not right.
No.
But also, you'll notice that these ones have a star on the top, and there is significance in the star.
There is, because it represents the star that guided the wise men.
Now, there are 3 spices that are used now, and they've got a significance, haven't they?
They do. So cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves were used, and they were to represent the 3 wise men.
Even though, well, we'll come back to the wise men and the 3 wise men, but now you can eat these cold or warmed. And they taste really good with some thick cream, and I'm talking thick cream.
Very thick cream,
or custard.
Or hot custard, which we serve here in the UK. It's a yellow colour.
Yeah.
And
it's a beautiful thing.
It is. Yes.
Beautiful thing. Now, the largest mince pie, before we move on from mince pies, they're made in the Mr. Kipling factory. He does make exceedingly good cakes, and any UK people will recognise. It's a bit of an advertising thing that they do. And how many mince pies do they make every year?
They make 27 million mince pies.
27
That's a lot
million.
of pies. Just mince pies.
So the mystery is now solved. These are mince pies, but there is no mince in them. This is mince meat that you can buy to put in the mince pies, but there is no mince in it. I know, we're weird. It's what we do.
They just kept the name for some reason. When they took the meat out,
right,
they just kept the name mince pie.
It's just bewildering. Now, 3 kings. A couple of things. First of all, the Bible never says that there were just 3 kings, but rather that there were 3 gifts. But it doesn't say 3 kings. So it might have been 2 kings who were being extremely generous, or it might have been 43 kings who couldn't go shopping and they only bought 3 gifts between them.
Right.
And the gifts were, do you remember, darling, the gifts?
Myrrh, frankincense.
And gold.
Gold, that's the one.
Gold representing royalty, frankincense representing worship, and myrrh.
Something to do with suffering?
Suffering, yeah, because myrrh was used at funerals, and so these gifts represented the baby that was born, who was a king, the king that we worship, but also the king who was born for us and came to die for us and be raised again for us. And we celebrate that truth obviously at Christmas and at Easter. All of this talk of Christmas brings me back to a Christmas service many years ago where I decided to be a little bit creative, and I did this sermon called What Jesus Wants for Christmas.
I remember, yes.
Yeah, and it was, it's probably 40 years ago. And what I did is I wrapped a mirror up in a parcel, and then it was quite a small congregation we had. So do you remember, I invited people to come out to the front and look into the parcel, and they would see this mirror, they would see their own reflection. And the idea was, what does Jesus want for Christmas? He wants you to give yourself to him. That was the idea. My dad, who was not a Christian at that point, my dad was there for Christmas, and he came out to the front and he looked into the parcel, and in a very loud voice he said, "What on earth would Jesus want with a mirror?" Which sort of wrecked the whole thing somewhat. But as I was thinking about this idea of this idea of us giving ourselves to Jesus at Christmas, I was reminded of some words from Christina Rossetti. She was a Victorian poet. She suffered quite a lot. She suffered from breast cancer, and she suffered from depression. She was a great campaigner against social injustice. She campaigned against slavery, against cruelty in forms of human trafficking, underage prostitution, human trafficking. She campaigned against slavery, but she was also a writer of carols. And she wrote the carol In the Bleak Midwinter. And here are some words that reflect this idea of us giving ourselves afresh to Jesus this Christmas. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would give a lamb. I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what can I give him? Give him my heart. And I'm sure that in all of this chatter about mince pies that aren't really mince, the truth that we really wanted to get across is not only our love and greetings to everybody watching right now, but also to remind us of the truth of what Christmas is all about and what it is still about despite all of the challenges, in the midst of the challenges that we currently still face. Thank God for the vaccines on their way, currently being delivered here in the UK, being rolled out shortly in the US. We're grateful for that. In the midst of the challenges that we face, Jesus is still alive, still loves us, and we offer ourselves to him. Well, I think, darling, it's probably our duty to hang up now and to eat these mince pies. It's rough work, but someone has to do it. Any parting words to everybody before we go?
Well, I think we will have these mince pies cold today.
Right.
How many calories do you think are in those mince pies, Jeff?
None whatsoever. And if you believe that, then you'll believe there's actual mince in these pies. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we're going to be doing this next week, next Thursday.
Next Thursday, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock UK time, 9 a.m. Colorado time. We weren't able to see any comments from you today, and I'm not sure why that is. Let me just press a little button here to see if I can make anything work.
Do we know that we have people watching?
We know we have at least 22 people watching right now live. So that's rather splendid, but can't see any comments from you for some reason. And I'm scared.
You've had a bit of issue today with technology, haven't you, Jeff?
I have. And also I was in the shower this morning.
Yes.
And I leaned over to pick up some soap or something, and I head-butted the shower, and I got this great big gash in the top of my head, which is not great. You know what that means? It means I won't be using the heated rollers because
that would cause more damage to your head, probably, Jeff.
Absolutely. So I'm afraid I'm just stuck with this. Talk soon, everybody. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Take care.